How's your bracket looking, my friend? Because mine on day one looked so good. I was so proud of myself. I was 16 for 16. It was the best start I ever had. And then it all went to complete, utter dog crap.
And for only the second time and the first since 2008, all four number one seeds made it to the Final Four.
I don't think y'all can see this because of my virtual background, but this is my official bracket.
Yeah, I can't see it. The virtual background isn't allowing it. But I'm sorry. There's only been one buzzer beater. No 13 through 16 seeds won in the first round. All the double-digit seeds that did win, besides Arkansas, were eliminated in the second round. There was no Cinderella. And you're like, I'm sorry, this has been March Madness. Not
wow.
March.
So you're one of those people that actually believe the tournament was boring.
Yes.
Because I don't. I get it. It was chalk, and I called it. It's the chalk tournament. But, man, I thought a lot of those games, yes, there were some blowouts, maybe a couple more than usual, but you're always going to get blowouts. We had some fantastic games, especially in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. I thought that was, regardless of what the final score ended up being, that was some of the best basketball we've seen in college basketball in a long time.
So to be fair, I really enjoyed that New Mexico-Michigan State game in the second round, but that's partially because I was at Rocket Arena to see it live. I was hoping Michigan State and Alabama would meet in the national championship since they won their second round games when I went, but obviously that didn't end up happening. My favorite game so far of the tournament was that second round game between UConn and Florida. That felt like a national championship. Yeah. And I'm like, how are we getting this in the second round? Like, these are two I forget what the exact word is, but two of the prominent brands, I guess.
Blue Bloods.
Yes, Blue Bloods. Two of the, two of the biggest firepowers. I can't think of the exact right term, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So my favorite was the Sweet 16 matchup when Texas Tech came back against Arkansas. I was pleasantly shocked that Texas Tech came back and the way they did. I mean, that was thrilling television. But as we head into the Final Four, like I said, my bracket's destroyed. Though I will say I do have two of my original four teams in the Final Four, and that matchup I have correct. I did have Duke going against Houston. Out of the South, and this one killed me because I thought I had them. I didn't know if I had them to win, but Friday night in the Sweet 16 with 10 minutes to go, Michigan was up 7 on the Auburn Tigers, and I had Michigan plus 8.5, and I had the Michigan money line in my bracket, and I thought I felt so good about that pick. And Pettigrew for Auburn, not even Broom, Pettigrew goes on this tear where he can't miss, and Michigan all of a sudden forgot how to play offense, and you look up and they haven't scored a field goal in 7 minutes.
I was hoping Michigan would win that game to set up a Michigan State showdown.
Oh, that would have been so good. Why did Michigan? They had such a good thing going with those two bigs rolling to the basket, knocking down shots, dominating the boards. They could not score, and then they couldn't stop Auburn. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Auburn ran the same pick and roll over and over again. It was the same. Let me tell you something else. I was screaming at my TV on Saturday night at the Florida game because Florida couldn't stop the pick and roll.
Yeah.
They ran the same play to Toppin over and over and over and over again. And finally, if it wasn't for that kid, the Florida point guard, I'm forgetting his name.
Walter Clayton.
When he goes in the free throw line and they're down 2, and I'm saying, yes, put it up. He dribbles it back out. I'm going, what are you doing? The next thing I know, he's pumping a three. Bang! Florida survives.
Yeah. You're talking about the game against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have Duke as my national champion. That was my pick before the March Madness bracket. So you're going with the Gators.
Yep, I'm going with the Florida Gators.
Who do you have them facing Duke or do you have them facing Auburn? Or Houston, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because they're facing Houston in the SEC, well, not the SEC championship, in the final.
Florida is facing Auburn.
Yeah,
Duke
that's what I mean.
Houston.
Yes. I was trying to make a little bit of a joke there because Florida and Auburn are both in the SEC, but whatever. In my official bracket, let me double check. I believe I have them facing Duke.
So I had my Final Four. I had Michigan against St. John as the other matchup. St. John killed me. They just decided not to know how to shoot against Arkansas, and that was all she did.
Yeah, and also, why did Pitino leave Richard Lewis on the bench?
Because Rick Pitino just wants to screw with everybody.
Yeah, you're right. Rick Pitino. I was thinking of his son, Richard Pitino, who's leaving New Mexico to go to
If anything, the one Cinderella in this tournament was New Mexico. I mean, unbelievable. How about Colorado State, too, and that game with Maryland that came down to the wire?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, too, though. I do think that because of NIL and because everybody, we've seen the SEC now more dominant in college basketball where the Big Ten is taking over college football. I do think that, unfortunately, and I do miss having one Cinderella. I do miss a Sister Jean or a Butler or a Grand Canyon in here.
Or a St. Peter's.
Or a St. Peter's. But I do think this is going to be our new normal. Maybe not all one seeds. Maybe we'll have one or two Cinderellas like we could have had this year. But I think we're going to be seeing more blowouts in the first round and less upsets than we typically do going forward.
Like, for example, I had Akron being this year's Cinderella.
I had Akron beating Arizona, and my God, they got beat by about 50.
Yep. That's part of the reason it's called March Madness is because, you get these crazy upsets, like what Oakland did last year when they went on their Cinderella run.
Yeah.
And, McNeese State beats Clemson, but then they lose to Purdue in the second round. Or, I thought Yale could repeat what they did last year against Auburn when they went against Texas.
Yeah.
Nope. Drake upsets Missouri. Guess what? They lost.
Yeah.
So it's for me, that takes some of the magic out of March Madness.
It does, but I think this Final Four will be fantastic. And the last thing I will say to this is, regardless if they win the national championship or not, which I think they will, and for the record, I think if this Duke team were to play the UConn team in the last 2 years, I think this Duke team would win. That's how good I think they are. I just think they have overall better talent because I think they have what could be the next generational face of the entire National Basketball Association in a kid that should be a senior right now in high school out of Maine named Cooper Flagg. And if this kid, by God, gets drafted by the Wizards, he better go back to Duke. I refuse to let this kid be on the Wizards, the Hornets, or the Jazz. The East needs him, and a big powerhouse in the East needs him. Every star's in the West, and we need this kid to change a team's life in the Eastern Conference, for the love of God.
Yep. But unfortunately, he's going to go to a team like the Wizards.
Oh, God. I can't think of it. Cooper Flagg is going to get buried in Washington, D.C. with the goddamn Wizards, who don't even know their own franchise exists.
Yeah, that's true. That team is irrelevant. They haven't been relevant since 2017 at least.
Philly, Miami, Chicago, skip the play-in tournament. Tank, do what you have to do, please.
Or I even beg that for the Toronto Raptors.
Or the Raptors. Yeah, and I'm saying East because let's face it, the West has all the stars. I mean, Giannis. I guess if you want to say he's the best player in the East, I don't even know about that anymore. National consensus is it's your guy, Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And then, you got Joel Embiid, who's never healthy. You have Donovan Mitchell, who I think is a nice player, but like I don't know if he's the face of a conference. Like the East needs Cooper Flagg.
Yes, but the East does not want Cooper Flagg with the Wizards or the Hornets.
And that's the problem. That's why I think Philly, Chicago, or Miami are the free spots.
Philly has officially been eliminated, so they're done. I'd be concerned if he goes to New Orleans because, good God, the Pelicans can't do anything right.
You know what? The only Western team that I would not be mad if he went somewhere would be San Antonio. Could you imagine Victor Wembanyama, Cooper Flagg, De'Aaron Fox on one squad in that conference with the likes of LeBron, Luka, Jokic, SGA, Anthony Edwards, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard.
Don't forget Chet Holmgren.
I mean, dude, the West is ridiculous. Why does the West? This always happens in the NBA. I know this is off topic. I know I'm pulling a you, but I don't care. Why does the West always get all the stars for the history of the NBA, and the West has always dominated the East?
That's true. You're 100% right, and I don't know why. Like, is it because like Hollywood is out west? Like,
I don't know. Weather shouldn't matter. I mean, it's an NBA is an indoor sport, and it's a winter league.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. But like, New York doesn't have the same draw it used to.
No, like again, Jalen Brunson's a nice player. I like him. I don't think of him as the best player in the East.
No, he's not. Like Indiana used to be a draw. They're not anymore. You don't hear people saying, "Yeah, I want to go play for Detroit," but you hear guys saying, "I'd love to go play for the Lakers," or "I'd love to go play for." Well, you don't hear a lot about Denver.
The only East team you hear about is Miami.
Yeah,
or Boston.
And it feels like Heat culture is on the fritz right now. Good God. I don't know what is going on with Pat Riley and the Miami Heat right now.
Like, I think Cooper Flagg is going to walk into the NBA and drop 20.
Yeah. I feel like if Cooper Flagg goes to the Washington Wizards, even though they're terrible, you'll see the Wizards on.
Yeah. I mean, the kid looks like he's 24 years old to me. I was like, wait, he's 18? He just turned 18? He looks like a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
He's towering over college players. And what makes Duke so great is they don't even need him to be good offensively because they are so athletic and so big, and like they can beat you up on both sides of the court, and they don't need him to be great.
Yeah, that's true.